If I had just followed the dress code memo like everyone else, none of this would have happened. But one missed email changed everything, and so did my shoes. My name is Alex Murray. I'm 42, divorced, and recently hired as a financial analyst at Vance & Meyer, one of the city's more old-fashioned firms. I've always considered myself quiet, dependable, invisible even. I don't like rocking the boat. I don't chase trends. I follow the rules. Or so I thought. My life was plain early morning coffee, a silent subway ride, beige office cubicles, and a cat named Whisper waiting at home. Nothing about me screamed risk-taker. I had survived the layoff at my last company by being the guy nobody noticed. And when I landed this job, I promised myself, keep your head down, stay useful, and never cause trouble. My new boss, Ms. Veronica Dane, however, was the exact opposite of me. Powerful. Poised. She walked like she owned the floor because, frankly, she did. Her tailored suits were always crisp, her lipstick never smudged, and her heels, always sharp enough to make a statement. You didn't question her. You didn't disappoint her. Everyone respected, some feared her. I didn't want either. I just wanted to keep my job. So imagine my confusion when I walked into the Monday morning meeting and everyone turned to stare at me. Not with admiration. Not even confusion. No, it was something else entirely, like I just walked into a wedding wearing swim trunks. Because I had made a mistake. A big one. That morning, I had skipped over an email. A tiny memo sent late Friday. I'd had a long week, and I told myself I'd catch up Monday. The subject line had read, Mandatory Dress Code Update, effective Monday, something I should never have ignored. Apparently, Veronica Dane had instituted a new policy, gender-neutral dress code enforcement, rotating weekly. And Monday? Monday was Heels Day. Not for women. Not for men. For everyone. There was Ryan from HR, wearing 3-inch block heels and adjusting like a pro. Liam, our mailroom guy, had swapped his sneakers for red kitten heels that somehow matched his tie. Even the interns weren't exempt. The rule was meant to promote empathy and equity. An experiment, she said. A progressive pilot initiative. And there I was. Standing in basic brown loafers like a fossil from 1995. She noticed immediately. Veronica doesn't miss a thing. She slowly stepped forward, her heels clicking with precision. Her perfectly arched brow lifted. Mr. Murray, she said coolly, her voice smooth and sharp. Did you not receive the memo? I froze. My mouth went dry. I must have missed it. A pause. The kind of pause that makes your stomach churn. She smiled, but it wasn't warmth, it was calculation. Well, Mr. Murray, she said, that won't do. Her heels clicked as she circled me, the way a cat might walk around a bird that hadn't realized it was prey yet. Everyone else stayed silent, eyes cast downward, but I could feel their judgment burning into me. This office, Veronica began, thrives on discipline, respect, and equality. And I do not accept selective engagement with policy. I truly didn't mean to, I began, but she raised a single manicured finger. No excuses, Mr. Murray. You're new, yes. But newness does not equal exemption. I swallowed hard. Understood. Her eyes traveled downward, stopping at my shoes. Size? My brain lagged for a second. 11? She smiled again. This time, there was something amused in it. Good. Follow me. Without another word, she turned sharply and walked toward her office. The room remained frozen until I obeyed, following her down the corridor. The sound of her heels echoed off the marble floor. Mine? Dull and muted, offensive almost. Inside her glass-walled office, sunlight poured across bookshelves, a live fig plant, and a high-backed leather chair. The view from her windows stretched across the skyline. It was all very controlled. Just like her. She gestured for me to sit. I obeyed. Then, to my confusion, she stepped behind a side cabinet, pulled out a small box, and set it before me. Inside, a pair of black patent leather pumps. Low heel. Practical. Still elegant. I keep emergency pairs, she explained. You'd be surprised how often the men forget. My stomach flipped. Ma'am, I appreciate the gesture, but It's not a gesture, Mr. Murray. It's a directive. I've never worn. Then today is a first. Her tone brooked no argument. I looked down at the shoes. Glossy. Pointed. Feminine. My ears burned with embarrassment. I can't wear these, I whispered. You can. And you will. Or you can pack up your desk by noon. The ultimatum dropped like a guillotine. I didn't have savings. I didn't have options. My last job had dried up without warning. This job was my lifeline. Slowly, with a heavy breath, I untied my loafers and slipped them off. The cool air of her office touched my socks. Veronica raised an eyebrow. Go on. My hands shook slightly as I took the first pump. The material was surprisingly soft. I eased my foot inside. Snug. A bit tight, but it fit. Then the second. When I stood, I wobbled barely an inch of heel, but still enough to destabilize a man unprepared. Veronica tilted her head, observing. Walk, she ordered. I did. Slowly. Carefully. Click. 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 Not as commanding as hers, but noticeable. She nodded. Better. I hated how my face warmed with shame. Or was it something else? Discomfort, but not just physical. You'll keep them on for the day, she continued. And you will read every internal memo going forward. Is that clear? Yes, ma'am. I managed. Dismissed. As I turned to leave, she added, Oh, and Mr. Murray? I paused. You walk better than most of them. By lunchtime, my feet throbbed. The once pristine pumps now bore faint scuffs near the toe, a testament to my unsteady, cautious steps. I kept my head down in the break room, sipping coffee. I didn't even want just something to keep my hands busy while avoiding the stares. Nobody said anything directly, but they didn't have to. Whispers rose and fell like waves. A smirk here, a glance there. One woman from marketing smiled at me gently, sympathetically. But even that felt worse, like pity. And when I returned to my desk, a folded note rested on my keyboard. Heels look good on you. Hope you read tomorrow's dress code update. V. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even thought to check again. I scrambled for the company portal. Tuesday, blouse and skirt. Feminine professional, theme day. I blinked at the screen. Was this serious? Then I remembered her words. I do not accept selective engagement with policy. I spent the entire afternoon in a fog of disbelief. Meetings blurred together. My feet ached. And through it all, the silent buzz in my head grew louder. What would tomorrow bring? That evening, I stood in the women's section of a department store. I must have looked lost because a sales associate in a navy vest approached with a gentle smile. Looking for someone? She asked. Myself, I admitted, barely above a whisper. Her eyes lit up with understanding, not surprise. Dress code at work? I nodded. First time? Another nod. She gave a small, knowing smile. Let's find something that works for your shape. And just like that, I was being ushered between racks of pencil skirts and chiffon blouses. She handed me fabrics I never thought I'd touch. Creams. Pinks. Soft blues. I was measured. Advised. Encouraged. When I hesitated over a fitted blouse, she touched my shoulder lightly. You'll blend in better if you stop fighting it. Trust the mirror. Those words stuck with me. By the end of it, I had 2 outfits, nude pantyhose, and a modest makeup kit. The total on the register made me wince, but not as much as the thought of facing Veronica empty-handed. The next morning, I stood in my room in front of the mirror. The blouse clung softly to my torso. The skirt hugged my waist. The pantyhose made my legs look smooth. Too smooth. And the pumps, still glossy, waited patiently near the door. I'd practiced light makeup the night before. Now, with trembling fingers, I applied a touch of foundation, then mascara. Lip gloss. Nothing loud. Just presentable. My reflection didn't look like Rocky. It looked like a version of me filtered through someone else's dream. As I stepped outside, early sunlight hit my hair just right. A breeze lifted my skirt slightly. I shivered, suddenly hyper-aware of every motion, every click of the heels. Each step wasn't just walking, it was being seen. At the office, heads turned. Veronica passed me by without a word. But she glanced once down, then up, and gave the faintest nod. That afternoon, a memo went out. Compliance with dress code continues to exceed expectations. Tomorrow, office formal wear. Wednesday, tidy wigs encouraged. My hands went cold. Wigs? The story was no longer about just a pair of shoes. It was about identity, and it was changing fast. I didn't sleep much that night. The word wig repeated in my mind like a drumbeat. How far would this go? How far could it go? And more importantly, why wasn't I stopping it? By morning, the decision had already been made for me. A discreet black box sat on my apartment doorstep, no return label, just a card inside. We value commitment. Wednesday, formal wear deserves the finishing touch. V. Inside, nestled in satin, was a sleek, shoulder-length brunette wig on a foam head. Beneath it, a printed instruction sheet detailed how to apply the wig cap, adjust the fit, and style with confidence. I held the synthetic hair in my hands, wondering how it had come to this. Then I remembered the dress code. Office formal wear, Wednesday, tidy wigs encouraged. It didn't say required, but encouraged felt like a dare. 30 minutes later, I stood in front of the mirror. A white blouse, ironed crisp. A gray pencil skirt just above the knee. My new wig, adjusted carefully, framing my face with an unnatural precision. I looked not like me, but not like a stranger either. Somewhere in between. I didn't recognize the expression on my own face. Tense, yes, but beneath it something electric. The tiniest ember of curiosity. And a question I couldn't voice. Could I actually pull this off? At the office, the silence was sharper than ever. People noticed. Of course they did. A few whispered as I passed. One of the interns, Kaylee, I think smiled and said, "Cute hair, Rocky." I managed a thank you, even though my voice cracked slightly. Veronica emerged from her office mid-morning. She circled the floor like a cat inspecting territory. When she passed me, she didn't speak, but she stopped, tilted her head, studied me. "Passable," she murmured softly, just loud enough. Better than I expected. Then she walked away. I should have felt insulted. But instead, that one word, passable, settled in my chest like a strange kind of victory. At lunch, I took my tray into the break room, hoping to hide. Instead, I found a chair already pulled out. Kaylee patted the seat beside her. "You're really doing it," she whispered, eyes wide with wonder. "Like really? That's dedication." I shrugged. "Dress code." "Oh, come on," she grinned. "There's following dress code, and then there's," she gestured at me, "up and down. Whatever this is. You even wore gloss." I felt heat rise to my cheeks. "It came with the wig." She snorted. "Sure it did." For a moment, I thought she might mock me, but instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out a tiny tube of pink lip tint. "Try this tomorrow," she said, pressing it into my hand. "It suits your tone better. Trust me." I stared at it as she walked away. Another tool. Another layer. Another step. By Thursday, my calendar was full. Another memo had gone out. Thursday, bring your best self day. Personal grooming is professionalism. Makeup encouraged. No visible stubble. That morning, I shaved more carefully than ever. Lined my lips. Blended blush. And when I arrived, Veronica barely looked up. But when I passed by her desk, she spoke without turning. "Tomorrow's Friday, Rocky." I paused. "Yes, ma'am." She sipped her coffee. "Fridays are casual, but I expect consistency." That was all she said. But I knew what she meant. By the end of the week, the office didn't even flinch when I walked in. My outfits blended in. My heels clicked confidently. My makeup wasn't perfect, but it was practiced. And when I looked at my reflection in the elevator door, the once foreign face looking back at me no longer felt out of place. Maybe I didn't either. Friday morning arrived with a twist in my stomach. Veronica's words echoed. Fridays are casual, but I expect consistency. Consistency? So, did she mean keep dressing feminine? Or dress down but stay within character? I stood at my closet for nearly 20 minutes. Jeans?
No.
Not safe. Slacks? Too masculine. In the end, I chose a soft blush pink blouse, fitted but not too loud. A pair of tailored women's slacks still distinctly feminine, but less severe than the pencil skirts I'd grown used to. Low kitten heels instead of stilettos. Minimal makeup. No wig today, just my natural hair brushed neat. I figured it was a compromise. The second I stepped into the office, I felt the shift. Not just in myself, but in how others looked at me. The reactions weren't gasps or whispers, they were quieter than that. More calculated. Veronica barely glanced at me during the morning stand-up. Her fingers tapped rhythmically on her clipboard. By lunchtime, I found a sticky note on my monitor. Half in means half out. Decide.
V.
That was it. Just 6 words. But they hit harder than I expected. Half in, half out. I sat back in my chair, reading it over and over. What was I doing, really? Was I pretending?
Complying?
Experimenting? Or was I slowly becoming something else? I found Kaylee in the break room again. She raised an eyebrow when she saw me. No wig today? She asked, not unkindly. I shrugged. It's Friday. She sipped her iced coffee. You looked more confident yesterday. I blinked. Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, like when you had the whole look going, you owned it. Today, you look like you're hiding. I hadn't expected that. I thought toning it down would make me feel more secure, less exposed. But maybe I had been wrong. That evening, I received an email from Veronica. Subject: Personal initiative. Body: You're learning quickly. But real loyalty is shown in details. Monday is important.
Prepare. V.
Monday. I didn't know what that meant yet, but the tension built through the weekend. Saturday, I found myself watching contouring tutorials online. Sunday, I bought a better wig brush and some foundation that matched my undertone more accurately. I didn't even question why. It just felt necessary. By Monday, I had put in more effort than ever before. A flowing blouse with pearl buttons. A navy skirt with a modest slit. Light contouring, soft lashes, and a dusty rose lipstick Kaylee had recommended. My wig styled into loose curls. I wasn't just following rules now. I was presenting. When I entered the office, people smiled. Even Derek from HR, who used to barely nod in my direction, said, "Looking sharp today." And then Veronica appeared. She gave me one long look and, unlike every time before, smiled faintly.
Progress, she said.
But now let's test initiative. She gestured for me to follow. Inside her office, she closed the door and handed me a folder. Team meeting at noon. You'll lead it. I blinked. Me? She nodded. Presentation on the quarterly numbers. You've seen them. You've lived them. But you're dressed for leadership. Let's see if you can act like it. My heart pounded. This wasn't just about skirts and lipstick anymore. This was about stepping up while dressed like this. Was I ready? Did I have a choice? At 11:59, I stood at the front of the conference room. My heels felt taller, my blouse too tight. But I stood up straight, cleared my throat, and began. The team listened. No snickers. No judgment. Just engagement. I ran through the charts, fielded questions, even cracked a joke that landed. By the time I finished, Veronica gave a single, deliberate clap. Well done, she said. Next week, we move to bi-weekly check-ins. You'll lead those too. And just like that, I wasn't just playing along anymore. I was becoming part of something bigger. The following day, Veronica didn't speak to me. Not directly. Instead, her instructions came through post-its, texts, and even a courier envelope dropped on my desk with the words, "For her eyes only." Inside, a detailed weekly schedule color-coded and meticulously labeled. My tasks: Veronica's meetings, wardrobe expectations.
Yes, you read that right.
Wardrobe expectations. Tuesday, pastel tones. A-line silhouette. Hair down. Wednesday, structured. Blazer. Neutral lips. Thursday, statement heels. And at the bottom, a bold note. Friday, optional. Your choice. Let's see if you've learned anything. It didn't feel optional. It felt like a test of my loyalty. I confided in Kaylee again that afternoon. I don't know what this is anymore, I admitted. Is she mentoring me or molding me? Kaylee smiled over her yogurt. Both, maybe. She's making me choose outfits now. She's training you. Training me for what, though? Kaylee leaned forward, lowering her voice. You've seen how she operates. It's not just about competence. It's about presentation. If you want to rise in this company, you have to look the part. And you, she gestured to me, are finally catching on. That night, I stood in front of my mirror longer than usual. Blouse pressed, skirt fitted, hair curled under softly. A thin silver necklace Veronica had gifted me last week. Just enough blush to look fresh, but not theatrical. I looked polished, professional, and female. It was no longer about discomfort or rebellion. It was about consistency,
Control.
adaptation, and oddly it made sense. By Thursday, something had changed, even beyond Veronica's nods of approval or the team's respectful glances. It was me. I no longer hesitated before applying lipstick. I didn't second-guess the click of my heels down the hallway. When someone held the door and called me ma'am, I didn't flinch. I nodded, like it was normal. Then Friday arrived. Optional Friday. I stared at my closet. A mix of outfits hung there, neutral button-ups, old jeans, but also blouses, skirts, pumps, and stockings. Even a pair of pink ballet flats I hadn't dared wear yet. I chose a floral midi dress.
Soft.
Elegant. Subtle makeup. Low ponytail. Light perfume. When I entered the office, Veronica looked up and said nothing. Nothing at all. Until I sat at my desk. Then I saw it another sticky note. This one read, full marks. You chose you. That weekend, I got a call from her personal number. Hello. I've scheduled you for a style consult Monday at 6:30 p.m., Veronica said calmly. I hesitated. A style consult? With Marcy. You like her? She's discreet. I didn't answer right away. Unless you've changed your mind, she added. I know. No, I'll be there. I didn't know what to expect. But the real question was, why was I excited? The building was tucked away on a quiet street downtown, sleek, minimal signage, all glass and chrome. Inside, soft music played, and a woman with pristine white nails welcomed me with a glance. You're here for Veronica, she said without checking a clipboard. She told me you'd be prompt. Come in. She led me down a hallway to a private room with a velvet chair, a wide mirror, and racks of curated clothing, tailored suits, skirts, heels, delicate blouses, and accessories sorted by color and style. Sitting on a couch, sipping something pink from a crystal glass, was Marcy. She stood as I entered. So you're the one she's grooming, she said with a half smile.
Sit.
Let's see what we're working with. I obeyed. She circled me like a sculptor evaluating marble. You've got good posture. Soft features. Veronica's already shaped your silhouette nicely. But she lifted a lock of my hair. You need layers. Framing. The illusion of weightlessness. And we'll do something about your brows. My brows? I asked. They speak too loudly for your bone structure. Veronica didn't mention you'd be this raw. Raw. She smirked, untapped, full of potential. Before I could process her words, she snapped her fingers, and two assistants came in carrying trays of cosmetics, a curling wand, and shoes. This was happening. For the next 2 hours, I was brushed, buffed, curled, plucked, and evaluated. Marcy wasn't cruel, but she was efficient, pulling clothes, adjusting fit, pinning fabric. She didn't ask if I liked something. She watched my face. She read my reactions. And when she zipped up a structured dress with a flared skirt, she stepped back and folded her arms.
There.
That's who Veronica sees. I turned to the mirror. The person looking back at me wasn't foreign. She was familiar, confident, elegant,
Smart.
but undeniably feminine. Not in drag. Not in mockery. Just real. Marcy gave me a bag of selected pieces and said, Veronica already paid for these. She says you'll need them for next week. I hesitated. Why next week? She just smiled. Oh, honey, you haven't figured it out yet, have you? Figured out what? She walked over, put a manicured hand on my shoulder, and said softly, "You're not becoming her assistant. You're becoming her reflection." Monday morning came faster than I'd expected. The heels didn't hurt anymore. The skirt felt like second skin. The blouse hugged my shape perfectly. When I stepped into Veronica's office to drop off her files, she looked up once and then stood. "I want you beside me today," she said. "At the meeting?" "No," she replied. "At the head of the meeting. You'll be presenting my pitch." "I what?" "You've earned it. You've adapted faster than anyone I've trained. And they'll listen to you now." "I'm not ready," I said instinctively. Veronica stepped closer. "You're dressed like a leader. Speak like one." The boardroom was full. Executives, clients, tension. But as I stood at the front, heels planted, blouse crisp, hair tucked perfectly, I wasn't nervous. I channeled Veronica. I used her tone, her presence. And they listened. They nodded. They agreed. When it was over, one of the VPs approached me privately. "That was impressive. You're Veronica's assistant." I paused, then smiled. "For now." Back at my desk, there was another note. "We'll talk tonight. I have another offer for you." Another offer? Another level? I wasn't sure where this path was leading. But I knew one thing. I wasn't turning back. The office was almost empty by 8 p.m. Lights dimmed. Hallways quiet. I lingered near Veronica's door, heart tapping nervously against my blouse. She'd said tonight that she had another offer for me. What could top what she'd already done? "Come in," her voice called, sharp but sultry. I stepped inside. The room smelled like jasmine and ambition. Veronica sat behind her desk, legs crossed, a glass of red wine in one hand, her gaze studying me like I was a painting that had finally come to life. "I meant what I said," she began. "You impressed them today. You impressed me." "Thank you," I said, not sure if it was gratitude or a warning. She gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit." I did. "Do you know why I started this company?" she asked. I shook my head. I was tired of being underestimated, of being told I was too much, too sharp, too loud, too ambitious. She took a sip. "So I built a world where the rules were mine. And now?" I asked carefully. "Now I'm looking for someone who can carry that forward. Someone who doesn't just follow rules, but becomes the standard." I swallowed. "Me?" She smiled. "You're not just changing how you look. You're changing how people listen to you. That's power." "But why the clothes? The persona?" "Because image is armor. Identity is leverage. And in this world, people judge before they listen." She leaned forward. "But they're listening to you now, aren't they?" I hesitated, then nodded. "They are." She stood, walked over, and placed something on the desk in front of me. A new ID badge. My face. My new name. My new title. Senior Executive Assistant to the CEO. I stared at it. "It's permanent," she said. "No probation. No questions. You've earned it." "Executive Assistant?" I asked. "Isn't that just—" She cut me off. "It's my right hand. My second voice. You'll handle clients, oversee department heads, represent me when I'm unavailable." "That's the lot." "It's everything," she replied. "And it comes with a condition." I looked up. "What condition?" Veronica's eyes gleamed. "That you never go back to who you were before." Silence stretched. "Why me?" I finally asked. "Because you didn't resist," she said plainly. "Most men panic when I start molding them. You adapted. You didn't just wear the heels, you walked in them like they were yours. And I saw something in you." "What?" "Myself." 20 years ago. I sat back, trying to process everything. Was I ready to be this? Was I already too far in? Did I even want to stop? I thought about the feeling I had when I walked into the boardroom. The way heads turned. The way my voice held authority, wrapped in silk and steel. I looked at the badge again. It didn't feel foreign anymore. It felt earned. I accept, I said. Veronica's smile widened. Good. Because the next phase starts tomorrow. Next phase? She opened a drawer and pulled out a thick folder labeled Brand Integration Initiative. And beneath that another, slimmer folder labeled Image Protocol, Stage 2. Tomorrow, she said, we turn perception into permanence. I left her office that night wearing heels that no longer felt borrowed, makeup that felt more like war paint, and a badge clipped to my blouse that said I belonged. But I couldn't shake the words she'd said. Never go back to who you were. And the truth was, I didn't want to. The morning sun filtered through the blinds as I adjusted my blazer in the mirror. Today's assignment wasn't just about presentations or meetings. It was about something Veronica called embodiment. Perception is performance, she'd said. But now you're not performing. You're becoming. When I stepped into the executive suite, I saw Veronica already waiting with a new team. A photographer, a stylist, a media strategist. This is brand integration, she said smoothly. You're no longer just Rocky. You are now the face of our transformation initiative. My face? I asked, heart jumping. She nodded. You've already been noticed internally. It's time others take note. The stylist, a tall man in charcoal with silver-rimmed glasses, circled me. We'll soften the lines here, he murmured. Push forward the confidence. Tailored femininity subtle, but intentional. The strategist nodded. She needs to be aspirational but real. Authentic. Smart. The woman every executive secretly wants to be. I didn't know whether to laugh or panic. But Veronica's voice cut through my nerves. You've been evolving quietly. Now we show the world. By noon, I was in front of a camera, posing in power suits, silky blouses, high-waisted trousers, and even a monochrome sheath dress. The flashbulbs popped. Chin down. Smile less. More confidence. Push from the hips, yes, like that. Now give us corporate mystery. I never knew corporate mystery was a thing. But somehow I found it. Then came the interviews. Not with press, but with internal communications. Scripts, camera angles, light makeup touch-ups. Describe what it means to embody the brand. I took a breath. It means showing up. Fully. Authentically. Not hiding behind outdated definitions of power. What do you think people notice about you first? The confidence, I said. Then the heels. Veronica watched it all from the sidelines, arms folded, the faintest smile on her lips. She wasn't proud. She was satisfied. After the media team packed up, she beckoned me into her private office. You handled that well. I still don't know how I got here, I admitted. Veronica closed the door behind us. You stopped resisting. You let the image become part of you. Most people fight change. You wore it. I thought it was just a job. It was, she said. Now it's an identity. She handed me a box. Inside was a gold-plated name tag. Rochelle V. Hart. Executive Integration Director. I stared at it. Rochelle? It's what they already whisper, she said. You might as well own it. I traced the engraving with my thumb. I wasn't just dressing the part anymore. I was the part. Later that evening, I walked out of the building into the city, twilight heel steady, head high, makeup undisturbed. And for the first time, someone passed me on the sidewalk and said, "Excuse me, Miss, love your look." And I didn't correct him. I smiled and said, "Thank you." The company's internal newsletter dropped the next day. Front page headline. New face of innovation. Rochelle Hart steps forward. Beneath the title was the same photo they'd taken me, in a navy silk blouse, hair tucked behind one ear, one hand on my hip, the other holding a tablet. Confident. Composed. Undeniably feminine. My inbox flooded. Compliments from coworkers I barely knew. Curious emails from department heads. Even a few hesitant, congratulatory texts from former college classmates who now worked elsewhere. But not everyone celebrated. That afternoon, in the break room, I overheard two voices low, but sharp. Is that really him? Rocky. She goes by Rochelle now. This is ridiculous. It's like the boss just converted him. Her. I'm not playing that game. Their voices trailed off when I entered. They didn't apologize. Just grabbed their coffees and walked out. I didn't say anything.
But it rattled me.
That evening, I stood in front of the mirror in my apartment. I saw the same outline Veronica had shaped: the sleek silhouette, the graceful brows, the soft lips. I didn't look like the man I once was. I didn't feel like him either. But was that a good thing? Was I becoming who I was meant to be? Or was I just wearing a costume that fooled even me? I sent Veronica a message. "Can we talk?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Come to the penthouse."
Now.
The elevator opened into a lush, minimalist space: glass walls, muted tones, faint music, and the scent of roses and ink. Veronica stood by the window, wine glass in hand. "You're doubting." I paused. "I'm reflecting." She turned to face me. "Do you think I didn't hear what they said?" "You always hear everything," I said with a small smile. Veronica walked slowly toward me. "You've crossed into a space few dare to explore. And now they whisper because they're scared. You shattered their definition of what power looks like." "But is it real?" I asked. Her eyes narrowed. "Was the boardroom real? Were the numbers you led us to real?" "Yes." "Was the respect you earned in that dress fake?"
No.
"Then stop asking if you are." I looked away, but she wasn't finished. "I didn't choose you because I wanted a puppet. I chose you because you had the backbone to evolve. Now they'll test you.
They'll doubt you.
But that means they see you as a threat." She walked to her desk, pulled out a sealed envelope, and handed it to me. "Tomorrow, you represent us on the global stage. Our parent company is holding a leadership summit. I want them to meet you, not Rocky. Not my assistant.
You."
I opened the envelope. Inside, a boarding pass. First class. Destination: New York. Conference name: Women in Corporate Innovation. I blinked. They know what they see. So do you. I left her penthouse that night not just walking in heels, but walking in my identity. One that now had stakes. The plane ride felt surreal. I sat in first class, legs crossed neatly, thumbing through the summit agenda. Panel discussions. Innovation think tanks. A keynote speaker list full of CEOs and creative directors. And me, Rochelle Hart, was listed under Emerging Voices in Modern Leadership. At JFK, a driver held up a sign that read Ms. Hart. I blinked for a moment before stepping forward. "That's me." He took my bag, never questioning it. At the hotel, the concierge offered a soft, "Welcome back, Ms. Hart," though I'd never been there before. It was like the world had quietly shifted to fit me, like Veronica had rewritten the narrative, and now I just had to step into it fully. The next morning, I slipped into the outfit the stylist had selected: a gray pencil dress, understated pearls, and nude pumps. Hair softly curled, makeup crisp but natural. I stared at my reflection. This was no longer transformation. This was arrival. The summit ballroom buzzed with energy. Women in suits. High-powered conversations. Laughter over coffee. Shimmering name tags with corporate titles that could reshape entire markets. And mine, Rochelle Hart, Executive Integration Director. I took a breath and entered. Veronica's network was strong. Before I even reached the seating area, I'd been introduced to 3 division heads, 2 global clients, and 1 venture capitalist who asked if I'd ever considered leading my own firm. By the time my panel began, I wasn't nervous, I was ready. The moderator welcomed us. The mic passed down the row. Then it was in my hand. "Rochelle," she said, "your story has created quite the conversation. How did you redefine your professional identity, and was it difficult?" I smiled slightly. "I didn't redefine it," I said slowly. "I discovered it." The room hushed. I thought power had to look a certain way, sound a certain way. But what I learned is, identity isn't a costume. It's a mirror. And when you stop fearing the reflection, people start respecting what they see. Applause broke out. A reporter in the back scribbled notes. One woman in the front row teared up. The rest of the panel was a blur. Questions. Conversations. Smiles. Strength. I wasn't hiding behind a version of myself anymore. I was myself. And people didn't just accept it, they admired it. Afterward, as I stepped off the stage, my phone buzzed. A text from Veronica. Watch the live stream. You made them believe. I'm proud. I replied with 2 words. Thank you. And for the first time, I meant it. That night, the summit hosted a gala. Under twinkling chandeliers and the glow of ambition, I danced. Not for attention, not for approval, but because for once I didn't feel like I had to prove I belonged. I knew it. The next morning, I woke to a knock on the hotel door. Room service?
No.
A neatly dressed woman held out a black envelope. For Ms. Hart. Immediate delivery. Confused, I took it, nodded, and shut the door. The paper was thick. Embossed. My name, Rochelle Hart, written in gold. Inside, a single sheet of creamy cardstock, signed at the bottom with a name I'd come to both respect and fear. Veronica Rothwell. And above her signature in her flowing hand, just one line. When you're ready to know the truth, come home. My heart skipped. Truth? Was there something I didn't know? Had this all been part of a larger plan? I flew back that afternoon, head spinning. And that evening, I stood once again outside Veronica's penthouse, envelope in hand, chest tight. When the elevator opened, she was already waiting. Same flawless poise. Same controlled smile. You got my note. I did, I said carefully. What does it mean? She motioned toward the couch. Sit. Veronica poured tea. She never rushed. This began, she said softly, as a test. My brows furrowed. A test. I needed to know if someone could break through the traditional mold, someone strong enough to change without losing their edge. She sat across from me, watching every breath I took. Initially, I wasn't sure it would be you. But the way you adapted, the way you allowed yourself to grow, that wasn't compliance. That was courage. I stayed silent, absorbing her words. This company, she continued, will be mine to hand down one day. But it needs a new face. One that represents what's next, not what's fading. Are you saying I'm offering you partnership? My mouth went dry. Not assistant. Not director. Partner. The world spun slightly. Veronica slid a folder across the table. Inside documents, contracts, stake percentages, and a single sheet that said, to be co-signed, Rochelle V. Hart. It wasn't just a name now. It was a legacy. But she wasn't finished. There's one condition. Of course there was. You can't go back. Not just in name or appearance. You've built a brand. A movement. People believe in Rochelle. The world believes in her. I nodded slowly. And you? I asked. Do you believe in her? Veronica's gaze didn't flinch. I built her. I leaned back. So this was it. The choice. Live fully as Rochelle with all the power, risk, and permanence. Or retreat. Vanish. And always wonder, what if? I picked up the pen.
And signed.